podcast, brought to you by Ahmed Khalid and Ahmed Al Hamamsi from Middle East. Our global S&OP community podcast mission is to build a global community from supply chain, marketing, trade marketing, sales, and finance all over the world, where everyone's voice could be heard and listened. Every week, we host a new episode with great thought leader in the S&OP industry. We believe that one word, one story, or one conversation could open up the light in the screen of your consciousness and you'll never be the same again. We discuss hot and trending topics with our subject matter experts by asking the right questions that uncover their valuable experience in our show. You can visit our website ahmedkhaled.co. Stay tuned every week with our global S&OP community podcast. Hey. Hello and welcome back to our global S&OP community podcast. I would like to thank you for all the positive feedback about our new podcast, especially in iTunes. And in case if it's the first time for you to tune in here, my name is Ahmed Khalid and I will be your host today. Our global S&OP community mission is, just to remind you, is to build a global S&OP community from supply chain, marketing, trade marketing, sales, and finance all over the world, where everyone's voice could be heard and listened to. And as usual, may I ask you to write in the comment where are you from, just to send some greetings for your wonderful country. Uh, you can listen to our podcast while you are walking, while you are running, while maybe you are jogging, and maybe even inside your car when you're going to anywhere in your country. And our aim is to drive a real values that these values can change literally your life, maybe your career, maybe even your business to the better. We host mostly global thought leaders in the S&OP industry all over the world to reveal their valuable experience, stories, and their knowledge. What we can guarantee you that this knowledge, I guarantee you this knowledge is a knowledge that you will never find in books because it's all about the experience, practical experience. And this kind of knowledge is an accumulation of real knowledge and on-ground experience from our guests. I'm asking you to open your mobile just right now and open the iTunes, search by Global S&OP Community inside iTunes or maybe Apple Podcast, and you'll find our podcast. You will find all the previous episodes there. And you will find that always that we are not talking too much about theories. We are more into knowledge, which is the experience on ground. Our subject matter experts are talking about their real experience that touch a real world, which is a real experience. You can use this experience in your career, as I said, or your business, and even your life. So just let me send some greetings for people who just commented right now. We have our friend Aftab Abbasi. Wow, thank you, my brothers. Thank you so much for tuning in. Great man, thank you so much again. Our friend Muhammad Jiddi from Algeria, great to see you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Our brother Ahmed Ismail, nice to see you, Ahmed. Thank you so much for tuning in, Ahmed. Oh, our great friend, the great brother Hussein Masri. Best of luck. Thank you, Hussein, for tuning in. It's a pleasure having you today. Our friend also, Dibyan, hello from India. Great to see you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Our lovely brother, Aziz Abbazi. Thank you so much for tuning in and being here today. Our friend also Nasser, he's saying, hi, great to see you, brother. Thank you so much. Coming back to our today's topic. Today's topic is a real struggle between the upstream and the downstream side. Maybe I would say it's a struggle between the demand and the supply. But the supply from another perspective, the supply from the make side. I know these struggles because when I started my career from the manufacturing side, there were a lot of questions in my mind and a lot of challenges in the demand plans. And by default, these demand plans changed a lot in the supply plans inside the factory. I kept asking and saying why those variations happens in a short period of time. Why can't we freeze the production plans for a long time and long period and have a long run which will optimize our production cost? I know it was very frustrating uh, when you see just a massive variation in your demand plan, and at the same time it will lead to massive changeovers on your resources, and hence also it will affect your production cost, which is somehow it's a KPI under the factory. Many questions were inside the mind, and those answer uh, at this time it was very vague. But all of these questions and those answers will be revealed today with our special guest. Our special guest today is a great leader in the supply chain industry. Our guest today is Sherif el Agamy. Sherif el Agamy has over has more than 19 years of experience across multiple industries within multinational companies like Shell, like Unilever, like Henkel, and currently in Henkel. He has an end-to-end experience in the supply chain from the make side, from the deliver side, and even from the plant side. He worked on logistics, safety, and sustainability. He worked as global supply chain manager, and currently he's a board member and factory manager in Henkel. He is also an entrepreneur and a massive founder. He is also a keynote speaker in the supply chain world. His contribution to the supply chain community is really marvelous. May I ask you, please, to welcome with me Sherif el Agamy, but also before we welcome Sherif, Sherif, welcome
Thank
to
you
the
very
show.
much. Many thanks for this warm welcoming. And,
Sherif,
great, thank you.
let me firstly thank you for accepting the humble invitation, our global S&OP community. I know that you have been busy those days, and I do really appreciate all what you're doing for the society and for the community. Great to have you today, and pleasure to have you in the show. Thank you.
It's my pleasure, and thank you very much, Ahmed. And really, it's my pleasure to be with you in this show, and real pleasure, and to see you in what you have done a very positive vibe globally now. So appreciating, I see even Ross McDonald, one of my old friends, and in the corporate audit in the supply chain. And so
Yeah.
warm welcoming, Ross.
Yeah, let's send some greetings for our wonderful audience. We have LinkedIn user. I don't know why it's happening like this, but there is some technicalities. But just excuse us because of these technical issues. Hi, Ahmed. This is how, as usual. I know every time he tuned in, there is some technical issues. Thank you for tuning in, Sawa. We have our friend Taibaji. Hello, good evening, brother. Thank you for tuning in. Our friend Nasser, he's saying from Bangladesh. Great to see you, brother. Thank you so much. We have also our friend Nasser. I don't see our friend Ahmed Hamams for a couple. Yeah, he will come back inshallah next week in our show. But he has some challenges nowadays. But hopefully, inshallah, he will come back by next week. So we have also our friend Fatma Hassan. Welcome from Asyut. Great to see you. Thank you so much, Fatma. Our friend Sharmila. Hello, Ahmed and everyone. Great to see you, Sharmila. And for sure, Ross. He is having worked with the Sharif personally. He's the true leader. Great to see you also, Roth. So, Sharif, I know this topic today, it's very touching, and I know it's very hectic, I would say, when it comes to managing the demand variability from the manufacturing lens. It's very, very hard, and it's not easy to look at it, especially if the supply chain uh, don't see what's happening from the upstream and even from the downstream if there is no intercorrelation or any connection between this team. So the first question that will come into my mind, when the planning team, as a factory manager right now, when the planning team asks you for an extra ask as a volumes in a very short period, which means that changeover, I would say changeover, too many changeovers and changing the production plans, how do you handle this discussion with the planning, number one, and with your team?
First of all, that's happening, especially in case of two things. The market dynamics, it depends on the market is moving very well, or there is a hiccup like COVID, like revolution, or etc. So this is what we are seeing even during the COVID for the past year. So first of all, we need to challenge back some issues with the planning regarding the saving some time and waste, because waste, as you know, different waste of
Yeah.
things. So sudden demand, it's really a nightmare. So when you have a sudden
Yeah.
demand that you're changing your plans, if you are in a good shape, if the batch there is no changes, or the blend in case of foods or
Mm.
something there is no changes or massive changes, I mean, if there is massive changes, you try to maneuver the pattern of the plan
Mm.
first. So this is
Mm.
the first struggle, that you try to push it in the next week or the day after or so, to prevent the hiccup of cleaning the line and clearing the line, etc., and the whole process. If it is sudden and high need, you have to manage that with trade-off deal, that you need to stop the plant after this, or
Mm.
to skip some product in case you are moving in the manner of trade-off deal between this SQ and that SQ.
Mm.
If it is more and above, so you need extra time or overtime, so that
Yeah,
adding
I
on
know this.
the issue much more, that you need to work overtime. So you are spending money here, there, and even you will gain some waste from the wrong changeover or unplanned changeover, let me say. Strategically, you need to see the big picture, that
Mm.
the good planning, that you will have the changeover and you will move forward. If it is demand and supply agreed together, above that, marketing and sales and the market dynamics will absorb this, that will be good and will have minor, let me say, losses. If it is sudden demand to rescue the sales, that is
Mm.
hiccup for sure, and there will be money drainage at the end. So you have to be very transparent with the planning and the business to put everything on the table that will do that. You will gain some sales in by this
Mm.
amount, and you will lose some money for this sudden changeover. And you need to be transparent to
Mm.
make the proper decision. Sometimes, unfortunately, the time is very limited, and
Yeah.
this is not the optimum story, but the optimum, what I'm mentioning, if you need to have a, a good opportunity on the market,
Mm.
usually you don't see the iceberg, because the iceberg, you are
Yeah.
draining some money in the iceberg, which no one can see this, between labors, between overtime, transportation, blah 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 blah. A lot of story. Maybe we'll take you through it through our discussion about the
Mm.
item that we are spending money in it.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I think that you opened a big door for that point because demand variability will be there, and I think from the upstream side, when people that just maybe I know it's frustrating when you have a change in the demand because forecast will never be right. And I know if I speak about the supply chain nodes that you have to allocate the right stocks and put the right norms or put the right cycle stock and safety stock, we can keep the same discussion on that. But the challenge now, we need the manufacturing team, and I know that it's very hectic, and I know when it comes to changing too much and changeovers, it's very hectic. But we need that. I believe that manufacturing team and the make team, they should understand that supply chain agility right now, it's nothing is unnegotiable, because now if you want to compete with the competition, you have to reduce the time to market and time to volume in order to be innovative and in order to be on the shelf. I'm talking about the consumer goods. You have to be all of that. The struggle that I see it, and I know this from a real experience when I was in the same place, that I don't see what's happening in the downstream. And I see that, I don't want to say it, but I feel that nobody cares about the manufacturing. Nobody cares. I see that nobody is doing his job from the other side. But it's not the case, because focus will never be right. And we should work. And I believe that if a supply chain want to have a sustainable business, they have to work in agile mode. Like what I say, that if I have changeovers, why don't we think into SMED way? I would say
Yes.
a single minute of exchanging the time. I know that it kills for sure that the lifetime of the machinery and your spare parts, all of these things. But the thing now, how to convey this message to the team, how you will be able, if you have, I know that you have mashallah business acumen from that side. When it comes to that point, how you are handling your team when there is a change in the demand and you know that this is needed.
Okay, so this is a very good question. So when you have a massive changing in the demand, that means that you are in a healthy, sometimes in a healthy market that it's moving.
Yeah.
But the problem is how you are managing that with the proper pattern. Okay, there will be changes. How we can postpone the changes in the proper time, or the lower risk time, or the lower wasted time, to have the outcome that you need. Because
Yeah.
at the end, the business is seeing the opportunity, which is very good, brilliant.
Mhm.
But when we need to move, we need to move smartly to
Mhm.
protect the money drainage from the sudden hiccups, and
Mhm.
even to gain the shelf on some issues. Because
Mhm.
let us tell the audience as well what is the iceberg that people do not see under the water. So, as you know, you are one of the professional and brilliant planners, so you will understand something already. So, you have raw material, packaging material, then
Mhm.
produce. So when you
Yeah.
change sudden demand, so that means that you need packaging,
Mhm.
even some raw materials to be injected. So you even for the rest of
Inventory.
the chain, you are having some turbulence in the chain.
Yeah.
Then you put that in the warehouse. So you have normal safety stocks for raw and pack
Mhm.
as if the finished good. So
Yeah.
you are making a disturbance of that. How you can absorb this? You have to influence the team that this is properly for the business, and we need to move, as you have mentioned, in a smart manner. If that occurred uh, several times,
Mhm.
but the optimum that you need to, there is no optimum, and forecast always wrong. This is, we understand this, and
Yeah.
this is across our heart. But the thing is, you need to reduce the money drainage from other sides to,
Mhm.
let me say, reach the shelf smoothly.
Yeah.
Don't reach the shelf with the blood of course on the ground,
Yeah. Yeah.
because there is a lot of issues at the end. You are the business doing that for two things: for
Mhm.
sales growth and for market share. If we
Mhm.
are agreeing on that, let us do
Mhm.
this in a very transparent manner, and we lose this amount of money for this move. But in the future, the plant should do, and that we
Mhm.
already doing in the plant or the manufacturing
Yeah.
area,
Mhm.
to, if that will be lifelong, this SQ having
Mhm.
sudden during the innovation, the starting of
Mhm.
or penetrating the market. So
Mhm.
we'll do SMED analysis, as you have mentioned, or
Yeah.
quick fix, or dedicating some place for mixing or filling or even blending, whatever the business it is, to be
Mhm.
dedicated for this sudden change with a
Mhm.
tolerable waste to be done. So it need to be match and mix between those two items,
Mhm.
and to even have planned stoppage for
Mhm.
even maintaining the effect of these is sudden changeovers, because that having a consequences on the machines and the mixing, etc.
Yeah.
So need to be managed in this way.
Yeah, yeah. Like what you said, it's about the iceberg, because many people they don't see what's happening down there, and that's why our role, I believe, it's showing people and showing them what's happening in the total business. I'll give you an example here. For in previously how I was thinking, and now how when you have a business acumen, see what's happening in the business. Sometimes if you're looking at the P&L, and let's be thinking in that manner. Uh, for one time, if I want to have a changeover, I know that the cost will be in terms of the changeover. I know that this will affect my production cost or my conversion cost definitely. Uh, but if I have opportunity, and if I need to change now the line, because I have a big massive order which was not forecasted for some point, which is equivalent, let's say, to 2 millions. Okay,
Okay.
now we need to think in that way, that This still 2 million. What is the cost and what was the benefit? What is the benefit from that point? So now the benefit that we will have 2 million. The cost from production cost, how much I will spend. This is the game. What is that spend? I know that it's hectic, but we need to understand how the business is going. Let's say that I will spend, let's say, 100K, but at the end of the day, my gross profit will be X. This 2 million minus 100K. So at the end of the day, this will be translated into my P&L. This
Yes,
is what we need the people to look at it, just not from a silo. I don't want to say silo point of view, but most probably that everyone is looking from a KPI point of view, and everyone is looking just for his own interest. But I believe that once people they understand the total business, how
yes,
it looks like, people they will work agile because they know their contribution, how
exactly.
it looks like. Yeah.
Very good point, and we are seeing that for some people couldn't see the big picture, or a lot of people, or some people seeing the big picture and making proper decision. I think this is the difference between successful action and
Yeah.
bad action deliver good, not good results.
Yeah.
So let us take that through the cycle to get everyone understanding the cycle. So assuming that we have a sudden demand for a
Mm,
certain SKU that we need to produce that tomorrow. It's
mm,
urgent and we need to have the shelf, we need to be
mm,
upfront the competitor, etc.
mm,
So the thing is that the demand planning giving the signal, and then the supply planning start ordering the packaging and raw
materials. Yeah.
materials, and to check what you have on your hand, you know better than me. So
Yeah.
so after that,
Uh-huh.
giving to the production planning. The production planning is the magician, yani doing the magic
Yeah.
here of where is the possible
Allocating.
slot, and to allocate that on the proper machine,
Mm,
and
mm,
about the efficiency of the vaccine. The the
mm,
the, the story not end in this part,
mm.
because when you are doing that, how you manage your cost per ton for this SKU to be
Yeah.
absorbed. So if
Yeah.
this uh, SKU need manual operation to adjust something or so, that is incremental increase. So the good thing to do that in a proper or a minimum cost, incremental cost on the SKU. Then you need to check the availability of the finished good warehouse, because when you dispatch to the finished good warehouse, if the cycle or the chain is not completed till the end
Yeah.
of the distributor, then the sales, etc. So depends on the modern trade or traditional trade or whatever. So you need to have a smooth way, because after that, if it's not moving well, so you will stuck with some raw and packaging material
Mm.
that at the end could be turned to obsolete,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then moving to the cycle of writing off, etc. So it should be move. All that is happening everywhere, but
Mm,
how to minimize to the optimum decision or
mm,
near the optimum decision to have things moving properly right. So in terms of the plant, having two things in hand: the
mm,
production planning to choose the proper slot with the minimal changeover,
mm,
cleaning or disinfection or whatever process, whatever the product is,
mm,
and then choosing the proper timing for the operation with the filling or the production to see
mm,
the optimum number of operator and the optimum
mm,
machine to produce on it, which
mm,
having the depreciation which is
mm,
in this limit, as well as the operators in terms of cost and technicians and the maintainability of the machine. All that story make the end of the game of the processing cost,
mm.
and adding on that the conversion cost of the packaging, etc., which I have mentioned that should be stored in the minimum stock levels.
Yeah.
Um,
Lovely. I like the story. So I'm moving to the second question, and I'm asking also our audience if you have any question into your mind, please keep asking. We will jump into your questions. Rather than this, I will keep moving into our lovely questions, the coming question. So, Sharif, the second question, which is, let's say for production team, maintenance team, and even the quality team, make team, whatever, how it looks like, the hierarchy of the factory, for sure it's better to have a longer run of production,
yes,
and uh, just to not change the plans, because this will optimize for sure your production cost, and it will minimize your changeover time, right? So uh, I believe that you have most even planning, they have a production frozen horizon. They should have like something called the production frozen horizon. How I will be able to seal this the production on which line for how long, right? I know
Yes.
that this production agreed production frozen horizon, it drains energy, and even it affects because of the changes. If you have too much changes, it affects the machinery and assets and their lifetime for it. How do you handle this with the business and your team? I mean, what I mean, that do you have a rules inside the factory when it comes to, I need to have the production, my production, to be sealed for 1 week, for 2 days, for 3 days, for 4 days, and what would be the logic behind it?
Okay. So let us speak about all the companies. I will not speak about Henkel as a Henkel. I will speak.
Yeah.
It depends on the maturity of the company. So when the
Mm,
company comes to be more mature, so it's giving frozen period for the business. So
mm,
that is like assuming that will be 2 weeks. So
mm,
when we say that it's 2 weeks, so it's not non-touchable. And if there is any big thing or an important or urgent SQ to be injected to the market, so it should go to a certain approvals and to see the cost benefit analysis of that,
mm,
and that it should going into the assumption of what is the effect of this
mm,
SQ to have to break the frozen period
mm,
and to have this product or the trial or whatever in this week 0 or week 1 or whatever,
mm.
and what will be the effect and what will be the cost, incremental cost of
Yeah.
from raw pack and
Mm,
the processing cost at the end to have the conversion cost in the big picture with the delivery time as well, with on time and full or whatever the KPIs. So it should have this to have good data in your hand to
mm,
input on the S&OP committee to take the proper decision.
mm,
So sometime you have the time for this. If you are not having sufficient time for this, you have to make assumptions, and that is roughly right. So sometimes there is turbulence. Everything is, there is no black and white, but the
mm,
proper thing to go to this channel to have the proper approval. So how I'm driving this or leading this, that you should have a cost benefit analysis with a clear view of two things: your current stocks for raw and pack and the availability and the risk on what we have from the raw pack side, and then the machinability of preventive maintenance if the schedule is allowing some preventive maintenance on this date. Is do we can
mm,
have to move these plans
mm.
forward 1 week, 1 day, or whatever, and to check the risk. It should be calculated risk at the end. If
Yeah.
not, you have to highlight and shout. We'll not do
Mhm.
this now. We will do that in another period. And sometimes we'll go for this answer. No,
Mm,
it's not feasible. We'll
mm.
lose a lot of things, and you will lose the rest of SQs that will follow.
Yeah. Yeah, because
So sometimes
utilization. Yeah.
exactly,
Mm.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Just, I'm so curious. Also, I will not leave you about this question because I know your experience. So, if I'm a planner, or if I'm a planning in the planning team, so uh, what is the optimal time as a production frozen horizon that you should agree with me?
You know
Uh,
that it depends on the SQ.
no, I know, because I know that you have this experience from the supply chain. You take it from that side. So
I see
I don't know.
minimum, Ahmed. I see minimum to be 2 weeks. So I see it's
Mm,
minimum because it depends on the market. So if we go to
mm,
Europe, for
mm,
example, European businesses is almost stagnant market. So you can put
mm.
like 1 month or 2 months
Yeah,
because
Matthew.
it's a stagnant market. It
Yeah.
depends on the market. You cannot go to India, for
Mm,
example, and say like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 1 month. It will
mm,
be. It depends on the dynamic
yeah.
process of the market.
Mm,
So, but I see it as a minimum to
mm.
be 2 weeks.
Okay. So you mean that I will give you the production plan for the coming 2 weeks, but what if I have a change, because let's say the weeks cover, because forecasts will never be right,
Yes.
but if I'm staying, let's say, every Saturday or every, let's say, Thursday, I come and I give you the plans for the coming week, and I give you 2 weeks. But what if there is a change in the demand from the current market, and they need to change the plan after 5 days, because this SQ is critical right now?
Okay,
You
this
have
is
the
good.
uh,
There is agility for sure for
yeah.
that, because sometimes there is even problem happening to the one of the suppliers or
Mm,
the machine itself doing
mm,
this specific SKU
yeah.
or the market. So different variables that you change. But at the end, you need to have a KPI of adherence to the plan,
Yeah.
and you will not adhere to this frozen period. This
Yeah.
is number one. So this KPI is dropped. You need
Mm,
to put a good answer for that.
mhm,
Why it's dropped, how we can maintain this in the coming period, and as well what was the incremental cost behind this scene.
mhm,
So if you answer these three questions, you will have the learning for the coming period. But for sure, the dynamic markets having this hiccups or having the sudden demand or having the sudden
mhm.
issue in the plan to have we need this one
Yeah.
tomorrow or after tomorrow, and
Yeah.
you have the packaging and you have the row. Please do. So
Yeah.
please is a polite way. Just we need to have it on the
Yeah.
ground. But at the end, you need to study and even reflect that with the supply and demand planning to understand the situation and to be clear with them. Because if that is happening and we are moving forward and everything is quite well and the market showing a positive signs, good
Mm,
and well, everyone is happy, and
mm,
this incremental losses it's been absorbed.
yeah.
But if the scenario that you have done this and after that you run out of spaces in the warehouse or you have run out of uh,
Mm,
packaging and so we have wasted our time,
yeah.
we can move that in another part or replenish this SKU with this SKU.
Mhm.
So it's about even the replenishment pattern. This is very important. This is very crucial because, as you know, if it's stopped in any place, it will stop the whole chain.
Mm,
So yes, there is agility, especially uh, in this area or
mm,
this era of COVID and uncertainty, etc. And
mm.
then you have to make trade-off deals. I
Yeah.
think it's
Yeah.
another question
Yeah.
too.
I think that Ross, he is asking a great question. He's saying that he's asking, as factory manager, we know preventive maintenance is critical, but is often then first activity to be postponed, cancelled when demands are high. It's a very nice question. How can
Yeah,
we properly do a cost benefit analysis to ensure that planned maintenance is done regularly?
yes, very good question for sure.
Mm.
Ross, I know he's one of the experts in
Yeah.
my views is when you have a critical or preventive maintenance, so you have a criticality register of the
Yeah.
criticality of machines, and you have the stocks on hand of some spare parts. So you have two ways, even if it is time-based maintenance or conditional-based maintenance. So if you are moving on conditional-based maintenance, uh, I think the question is no. The condition says we need to change this, and if we
Mm,
not changing this, that could affect the whole machine or other
mm,
maybe
yeah.
expensive part, and could we have run out time of the machine till the whole stoppage, and that will be crucial. So in that area of conditional based maintenance, we need to stop.
Yeah.
If it is time based maintenance, and we have in the register that we can move much more hours on that, so we can tolerate to a certain limit, but not. Yeah, if I say that I need this plan on Wednesday,
Mhm,
and my preventive maintenance plan that will be on Wednesday, so I can move the plan to Friday or
mhm,
Saturday.
mhm.
But it depends on the estimated working hours on this part that I need
Yeah.
to reach.
Yeah.
So it depends on the type of the maintenance and the criticality of the situation.
Yeah, 100%, Sharif. I like what you say. It's very deep, seriously, about this experience, because again, plant maintenance. Many people they are plant maintenance or preventive maintenance, especially under WCM or whatever lean manufacturing.
PM,
It's all the same, WCM
yes.
or TPM, whatever. It's the same. But when it comes to that, I like what Ross said, because it's some people they ignore it,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
ignore it because they look into the demand, look into the demand. But what I keep saying in that, yes, I understand that planned maintenance and preventive maintenance, it's very essential,
It's
but
crucial.
you have to do it. But now it comes when you have a real collaboration between your manufacturing team and your supply planning team. I
That's
know that
why.
based. Yeah.
Yeah, if you allow me to continue and
Sure. Sure.
to answer to have full answer for Ross'
Sure.
question,
Sure.
because really very good question. You have to plot the preventive maintenance with the planning, the production planning team,
Exactly.
and to be dropped from the plant. So this day I will be off.
Yeah.
So no
Available hours.
discussion on that. And if we need to be agile, we will be agile for a minimal uh, way to sacrifice the plan, but will not screw our line for the
Yeah.
plan, because
Yeah.
at the end we'll not find the line at the end. So
Yeah.
so so you have to watch out on this, and it should be plotted early beginning of the month. These
Mhm.
days it will be stopped for the machines, and in case there is any sudden, we can shuffle couple of hours or maximum one day, but will not cancel the plan, because some
Compromise.
of the plans, we have seen this in my previous assignment in the corporate audit.
Mm.
So we see that it cancelled in some manners, and
Yeah.
prioritizing the planning and the business on that. At the end, the business having a very poor performance in the plant,
Yeah.
very
Mm.
poor OE that you are spending, or overall equipment efficiency, that you are spending a hell of money
Yeah.
for a very poor operation. So the consequences of this is really bad.
Yeah, the cost, even Sharif, the cost. Sometimes we see small things or tiny things, or we are focusing on tiny things. Yes, sometimes you can. People they prefer to move over the plant maintenance. They ignore the plant maintenance because the demand is high. But now, what will happen? Sudden breakdown could happen in the resource itself, or the line will cost you a long time of breakdown that will stop and will affect the availability, even the top line sales for the company,
Yes,
because a short sighted. And again, I like what you said. It's all about collaboration between the planning team and manufacturing. If I have the available, I know my available resources, and I know that based on my capacity utilization of the available resources, I know this week I have, let's say, 70%, I have 65%. So I will be able to take this day. I will speak with the planning team, guys. I will take this planning, let's say every quarter or whatever, but I will seal it before it by 1 month. This week I will take this as a planned maintenance, so you should take it out from my available hour on this resource
exactly.
and plan accordingly. If in case even, yeah,
In my responsibility, the production planning is important to me, as well as the export in my current job. So this is, I see that after the experience, to have this is outside the plant role, or having, I think this is properly right to be under the umbrella of the plant management, because that will be the benefit of the plant. On the other hand, yes, it can deteriorate and the line stop, but this is the direct hit. The indirect hit, if you are accepting that and not didn't put this in the plant, you
mm,
are throwing your line efficiency
yeah,
on the ground. So
yeah,
at the end, you should move with 85%. You will
mm,
operate with like 60, 65. So you are spending a hell of money and
yeah,
overtime, etc. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Uh,
Repetitive breakdowns.
exactly,
Meantime to repair and meantime between failure.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
So I have an interesting question in the coming period, and I think it's also one of the biggest pain points when it comes to manufacturing. So let's say that the available time inside the factory, or the full resources inside the factory, it's 6 days per week, and you're taking like 1 day off based on the available hours that we have and based on the available demand that we have. How do you deal with the planning team, supply planning team, in case of capacity utilization challenges, and they suddenly come and request to run the factory on the day off? What is the system thinking that you are using at this challenge? You
Okay.
tell them, guys, no, I will not run anything because of my production cost. I don't care about what you're saying, because move it to to the next period. I will not move anything for this Friday, I would say.
Look, this is a tricky question, Ahmed. So, for sure, no one can say this is we are serving the business. So at the end, you need to do whatever you can, but it depends on the. Let us assume that the plant is like a car. So if it is like a Lamborghini, so you
Mm,
have a good efficiency,
mm,
and you can squeeze the timing and maximizing the benefit of the efficiency,
mm.
so you can operate 5 days a week for some
Yeah.
lines, maybe not all
Mm,
the lines. So
mm,
you serve some lines to the sudden hiccups or the sudden
mm,
demand, and this is
mm.
a very good to be done. Okay,
Mhm.
to optimize and enhance the operability of the machines and even the automation of the machine to even reduce the headcounts, and that will help you to be more agile and flexible, let me say.
Yeah.
And this is the era that we are in it, digitalization and automation. So
Mhm.
this is currently everyone should do in the plant.
Mhm.
Second, if your plant resources in terms of the efficiency and you are moving on the edge, this for sure not the optimum situation, and there is something wrong in the planning of the assets
Mhm.
and utilization of the assets, because the first thing on the TPM or Lean Six Sigma or WCM or HPS, whatever name it, utilization of assets. So
Mhm.
you need to see the utilization of assets that will give you the agility and flexibility.
Mhm.
Because if the plant resources and the efficiency is moving quite well for the 6 days and you are on the edge, this is wrong. You
Yeah.
need to really think about the structure, about the people, about the machines, about everything to have the proper thing, that you need to
Mhm.
squeeze things much more or to have the optimum result of this.
Mhm. Mhm. Great. So at this moment, if I'm in the planning, so if I come to you, I say, Sharif, at the end of the month, and then you know this
Uh, eh,
this
the last
scenario.
3 days.
Yeah, we have a big order. I know that, and based on the capacity utilization that we have, I need to work on Friday because by this way I'll take a direct shipment and I'll send it to the customer and I will close my top line. You understand this? So, what you'll do, and I know this frustration because of the manufacturing team and the production team, maintenance team, because they will come and work as an extra. How you will handle this, and is this even affecting your production cost? How we will be able to handle this? You will tell them no, yes.
If this business need, so for
Mm,
sure we will try to do it, because there's no clear no, because you are at the end, you are
mm,
not in a silo or an
yeah,
island, but you are driving yourself and screw the business. So this is not the right thing. But you need to do the cost benefit analysis and to show it in the
yeah.
next um, meeting with the board team or whomever, the planning
Mm,
team, to say, okay, guys, I need to know the action we have done on Friday,
mm,
what is the result of it? Because we have paid like
mm,
100K Egyptian pounds
mm, mm,
for that. So what was the consequence? Shall we do
mm,
that again or not? So for
mm,
sure you have to do it. But as I mentioned, if you planned your all the planning in terms of the
yeah.
production planning on the edge,
Mm,
for sure you will sacrifice some issues like this
yeah.
to prevent Fridays, to have part of the Thursday with you, or even to give the operators 2 days instead of Friday, so you will not pay on that much. So there is another place to absorb this from other ways. You are trying to put me in a corner, but I'm moving out. Okay.
No, I'm trying to use your experience because
Uh,
it's very common questions. And
yes,
I know, it's very relatable when you go inside the factory and everyone inside the factory they think like that. Why shall I work on Friday?
yes,
Why, when it comes, let's say for the last 4 weeks of the month, that my asset utilization it's 50% or 60%,
yes,
right? And one time you come and I want to work on Friday, guys.
100%.
Why don't you produce this earlier?
Exactly,
This is
exactly.
this. That's
This
why I
common,
want.
common thing.
Yeah, that's why it's coming because focus will never be right. We
Yes,
should hold for sure. Again, we should hold the right safety stock and cycle stock, but life will never be positive
no,
all the time.
no, no, no.
That's why we are existing here. Yeah, it's
Exactly. So
yeah,
any again, any dynamic market, any country, it's moving dynamically, especially in the Middle East. I see,
yeah,
and maybe GCC. You will find some areas will not be in the same thing if the growth is low or single
yeah,
digit. If you are going double digits, for sure you will find something like this. But
mm,
you have to manage the game, that you need to go for digitalization and automation
yeah,
and reducing the headcount. So if he mentioned that we need to go for Friday, so you have two operators, three operators of work. So it
yeah.
will not be like it will be energy for sure. It will be if there is water in the process or so, that will be incremental hit. But at the end, though, it will be for sure for the plant to stop on Sunday or Monday. So that this is get us frustrated for sure. Yes, to be honest.
I thought, yeah, it's very relatable. If I understand this, I will come into another good question.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and I think yeah.
Past
It's nice
questions
one.
were good as well.
Yeah, so I will speak about little bit about the utilization because we came into that point. So in case of any capex is needed on the line because of rough cut capacity planning for a longer period, and I see that I'm a planner or in the planning team, and I see that there is overutilization, and I cross the risk zone for my asset utilization,
Mhm.
and I see that it's consistent and it's red consistent. So by this way, we'll have unfulfilled demand. We cannot fulfill all of this demand, and I need to take an action right now.
Mhm.
And in case of this capex utilization needed for new resources due to the overutilization of new demand, how do you deal with this situation when I come to you and ask you, Sharif, you are the plant director, and by this way, I think that we need to have a new fully dedicated line for these SQs. I need these SQs because I see that there is a peak in the demand and we will not be able to fulfill it because of the demand. And it's consistent. Why I'm saying this? Because I know that you can play a little bit. We can prepone the stocks or pre-build the stocks, but I'm saying that it's very consistent. How we will be
Okay.
able to deal with that situation? Do you raise the capex directly as per the planning call, or do you use another approach according to your amazing experience?
So for sure, if you have the RCCP and the whole process of the S&OP resultant on that we need this amount, as you know that when we put the production planning, we remove the 52 Fridays as well as the
Yeah, available
holidays.
time.
So first of all, working with Fridays or with holidays that will be beneficial to proceed.
Mhm.
It's same pattern, etc. And in that manner, this is very
Mm,
beneficial. To give you a clear answer, if you are have crews, you can increase the crew to have fourth crews or something,
mm,
and that will be beneficial for the cost per ton for this item.
mm,
And if the capacity utilization turn to be if we are saying like 95% after this new demand. So
mm,
after having the couple of days that should be 100 days or something after having
mm.
everything, so that will be decreasing the capacity utilization to
Yeah.
a noble limit like 85 or something like this. So
Mm,
if this is will move on it, and if there is sustainable growth on
mm,
this SQ, good and
mm,
well, go to invest for sure. But if
mm.
the growth not matching the ambition of the forecast, that we agreed that forecast is always wrong, so
Yeah.
that you have saved the money for the business and for the company to do not waste money for trial. But if it is going more, you have to move in the parallel that you're securing the business and the need and the opportunity in the market, and on
Mm.
the other hand, see what you can do after sustainable figures of sales.
Yeah, I loved your system thinking. Really, I loved it because you opened and revealed many things that maybe factory managers they ignore it or they don't think about it, which is the available hours, the available time on the resource. If I slot just or I put a slot 6 days per week and I don't have the full days, so what if I run this line? How it will be looking like it in terms of the capacity utilization. And you opened also one thing that I believe that this is the core of the discussion, which is is this demand rightly maintained? What are the drivers of the demand? And this is, I think, it's a big lack of the business when it comes to that point when that directly, blindly, you come and raise capexes, and your cost or conversion cost is going massively. And at the same time, when it comes to reality, you find that your asset utilization it was the same, and you're paying too much depreciation for these unutilized assets. It doesn't make sense. So I think this comes the essence of leadership when it comes to that point before just raising capex or paying too much for our conversion cost. You have to ask yourself, you have to challenge the demand. What is the demand drivers? Where we will be able to sell, how it looks like, why all of this, why there is a peak in the demand side. There is something, and this kind of questions should be asked from the leadership. And even like what I said, it's the cost versus benefits. At the end of the day, it's cost versus benefits. Sometimes even uh, for this demand or this SQ, it has like a lower gross margin. or lower gross
Yes.
profit.
Yes,
And
exactly.
in the other side, I will pay too much capexes and my depreciation, which doesn't make sense. So sometimes I will say, guys, this doesn't make sense. I will have unfulfilled demand on that SQ, because the ROI for this capexes doesn't make sense,
Actually,
which is
Ahmed,
the case.
yeah, you are 100% right as well. There
Mm,
is another angle because if
mm,
this SKU will be locally or be
yeah.
exported to other area, we have learned the tough way. So we have learned the game. We have seen here Arab Spring, and then globally we have seen COVID. We have seen the situation of Lebanon. We have
Mm,
seen a lot of
yeah.
things. So if you are building and say that, for example, that
Mm,
will export to Lebanon,
mm,
this SQ, and then what happened in Lebanon, and then suddenly you spend a hell of money to get the line on ground, and nothing.
yeah.
So it will just turning to be depreciation, and this is hilarious for the P and L
Mm,
of the company. So it's the story. There is a lot of factors in the equation you should
mm,
take care of. So you need to start slowly, let me say optimizing all the resources. And this is the aim of the TPM, by the way. So the
mm,
TPM, if you remember, one of the person that I really like him very much, Maurizio. Uh, so that we need to plan for the 365 days, and you need to remove the legally days that already forbidden from the country to work in it, and try
mm,
to optimize this timing to have the outcome of the plant, and then uh, manage your plant in this issue,
yeah.
and put in your pocket these days like Fridays or holidays or something, and you can use it if needed before raising a capex.
Yeah. Yeah. I do remember these days.
Ah, yes, it was tough days.
No. I will jump into Ross. Ross, there is a question from Ross, I think. In a capacity constrained environment, do we always want to satisfy all demand? In some cases, would it better to satisfy high margin demand, sacrifice low margin demand?
Yes.
What are thoughts? What are your thoughts?
I'm totally agree with Ross. So in the case of that you are already tight in a constrained environment, that already your machines
Mm,
catered for the demand, and there is no high growth or something like this, you need to challenge back about
mm,
the growth, because some SQs it's draining money.
yeah,
It's by negative to just having co-packing activities or promotion or something like this. So if you are sacrificing some demands, you need to drop these activities. If not, it will not generate margins.
yeah,
So it should be raised into discussion to
definitely.
have a win-win situation, and to not lose that I'm processing cost for that £10, and then at the end the SQ is losing. So for sure there is defend back in
Yeah,
this for
yeah.
sure.
100% Sharif. And I think here it comes the role of demand prioritization. And I keep always saying this because it's very vague discussion, and everyone has his own view on that. But I keep saying that, yeah, sometimes you could compromise the high margin over the low margin when you have some capacity constraint on a specific resource. Yeah, this should be the right way. But always come back to the business strategy when it comes to the business strategy, how it looks like, and what is my channel, I would say, category strategy, how it looks like. Sometimes I can produce the low margin SQs over the high margin because I have specific let's say strategy for the category.
Exactly.
This SQ has a lower margin, but I'm using this SQ for let's say penetration. Let's say that I'm taking market share. So if this there is no connection between the business strategy and supply chain strategy and the business strategy, then you will be lost. But what you're
Exactly.
saying is totally 100% right, because logically we are here for the business, and we need to, for sure, to enhance our margin, our profit. But again, I'm saying that because I know that the business, when it comes to business aggregated business strategy, it should be cascaded into channel and product strategy. And from that point, you can take the right action, because this is the Bible of your business when it comes to taking the right decision. This is my just
Well,
humble.
yes, yeah, 100%. I do second you. You need to understand the reason behind anything, because believing when you are producing this is extremely important. The operator should
Yeah.
understand why we are doing this, why we are doing this change. maybe in the level of the operator, you will not say it in that manner, but you need to say this is very important for the company. We are gaining market share. We will lose market share if we not done
Yeah,
this with you. So something like this, because believing on that will help you to enhance a lot of things, efficiency,
yeah.
etc., etc., etc. So
Yeah,
it's
hundred
very important.
percent, 100%. I think that we have our friend Dua Abdel Karim. She is saying that sometimes we have to keep low margin SQs because it's strategic SQ and strategic
Yeah.
vision. Yeah, I can echo your thoughts, Dua, because I'm telling you from an experience. Because most innovations and any innovation, it comes when it comes to the real life and deployment, you will find that it's in the tail of the category, and they maybe it has low margin at the beginning. I'm not talking about margin, maybe I'm talking about the profitability, but maybe it has a high margin, but on terms of profitability maybe it's low. So maybe you say, guys, I don't need to produce this, but at the end of the day, if you don't focus, keep the laser focus for your innovations, the new innovations or the new SQs, and you keep always, if you have, as Ross said, that capacity constraints environment, you will not be able to fill the shelf for these SQs. And these SQs by default, it will be out of or delisted from the customer or the retail side if you have a consequences or just consecutive orders, and you will not be able to fulfill it.
I
So
tell you something, Ahmed, to reply between Dua and Ross,
shoot,
because this is very important.
yeah,
Two parts. You have maxing the mix. So the
yeah,
proper maxing of the mix, and to review the lines of SQs that you have in the business. This is extremely crucial, because in
exactly.
sometimes you forget that you have a hell of list. You know what I mean? And
Portfolio.
then our portfolio is really high, and you are injecting new SQs, which is really um, getting the plant and the supply chain all over in a mess. So rationalizing the SQs to a proper limit. Yes, there
Mm,
is some SQs to penetrate, but we need to choose when that will be
yeah,
produced. The
yeah,
timing. I could produce this in a lower cost. Don't
yeah,
give it to me sudden. So give me the high margin sudden, but don't give me the lower margin sudden. So it should be cooperation between all the parties to have
mm,
at the end fruitful outcome of the pricing of the product.
yeah. I think I will have another critical question, Shri. So I think this will be the last question, and really I enjoyed the discussion with you. It's
Same
really
here.
interesting and an amazing experience. So the last question in the mind, when the business, and I think this is very common in the business, that's why we need your experience in that point, which is when a business has a critical product to be produced, and all the factory is focusing and is working on this product because
Mm,
it's critical now at the end of the month, and suddenly the factory stopped totally
mm.
due to a sudden breakdown, and this breakdown maybe it will take a longer time to be fixed. As industrial director, how do you deal with this situation with the business and with your team?
In that tough situations, hopefully, يعني, this is really it's a nightmare when we pass with it. But you have to be transparent. You have to be. It's leadership moment that you need to raise the flag, guys. We have a problem here, and that could estimate like 48 hours or something. And you are keep pressuring on the other side and maintain whatever you can. If it is longer than this, so you have two options. If you are maintaining your machines, so it will take minimal time.
Mm,
And if there is, we'll go to the extreme. If there is
mm,
strike or something in the plant, and maybe you don't know when it will
mm,
be. So another way to be a leadership moment, maybe you can import the product from other plant to
mm,
to, to save the opportunity and to secure the business, or to shout, say, okay, we'll work overtime and we'll work extra
mm,
hours to maintain that, or
mm,
to make a changeover. If you have two identical lines, you can do the product there, or you have to do some adjustment in the lines to access the capacity, or to play with the uh, planning pattern
mm.
to move the high stocks
Yeah.
products at the end, and to maximize the throughput with a high capacity. So it depends on the situation,
Mm.
but for sure you have to be transparent and clear. So
Yeah, yeah, I like this because if you're not clear and transparent, you will have the
it's a
magnitude
disaster.
of the issue. Yeah, the constraint will be bigger and bigger and bigger. It will make bigger noise. So it's
Exactly.
easier to connect and conduct it with the business. I think that we have the last question from our friend Gabriel. He's asking, how do you balance your maintenance of your critical equipment with your productions?
Okay. So for sure, you have to identify your criticality or critical machines in the plant and to set the minimum stock order that you have. And the minimum stock order should be in the cost. I don't know how the cost center in your situation, Gabriel, but it should be managed in a cost center of the inventory, which is not
Mm,
reflecting on your cost of the spend of the processing.
mm,
And then, and some people doing like that by the supplier, and it to be automated. So there is a lot of solutions, but at the end, you have to review the spend of criticality with the again with the time-based maintenance or the other side of condition-based maintenance, and the conditional-based maintenance as well should have a statistics of the history. If it is much more, so you have something wrong in the machine, vibration or alignment or whatsoever. So everything have a statistical approach. So you have to put an estimate pricing of criticality of this starting of the year,
mm,
and even if you buy a new line, you have to ask the supplier or the OEM to give you the criticality of the spare parts and the estimated pricing for that for each component, not each part, each component level. So
mm,
it should be in that manner. So you proactively you should know and you should
mm.
understand and estimate. And if there
Yeah.
is any hiccup much more than this, you have to investigate.
Yeah. Sharif, again, I would like to thank you for the amazing, really, values that you drove it today and your great insights and stories that you're sharing based on your amazing 19 years of experience in multinational companies all over the world. And I would like also to thank you for, I know that you're busy in that time, but yeah, but you insisted to come and join our lovely global S&OP community. I'd like to thank you for your time. Really, I enjoyed the time. And also, I would like to thank our audience who came today and engaged with us based on these amazing values. And hopefully that we need to have another, because I have many questions in that point, we can have
I'm
another
really
session.
happy. Thank you, Ahmed, and really best wishes. You are doing, you are really driving a value. Whatever you're doing is really great. So keep it up,
Thank
and
you.
you are doing a great work, and really you are delivering a value. So
Thank you,
my
Sharif.
pleasure.
Thank you so much. And I will see you so very soon. Thank
Oh,
you.
thank
Bye
you.
bye.